our team here is willing to come up and say a few words about Kent.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you to the NSGA. It's really hard to believe. Just over 15 years ago, Kent founded and helped build a company that's been so important to this industry in such a short amount of time. During those 15 years, Kent's vision has taken a paperwork-heavy industry into an online powerhouse. Tonight I want to talk about the early days, and I don't mean the early days of the people sitting down here that helped build that company, but I want to go back to the early days, which was the first time I and so many of us met Kent. Like Ronnie mentioned, prior to Order My Gear, dealing with teams and team orders was a hassle. Between stapled checks, parents taping cash onto paper order forms, tallying up orders, deciphering last names written on order forms, and hoping you embroidered them correctly, it was a disaster. It was such a disaster that most of us turned that business down. We didn't want to touch it. We oftentimes had the local decorator, the local embroidery shop take those orders because it just was not worth our time and hassle to go through that. The dealer I worked for 20 years was part of the tag buying group. And at the time in 2006 and 2007, a few of us had started and attempted our first online stores. And we knew that the paper order form could not continue, but we also didn't have the expertise to build a platform. And we tried. We set out to hire some people that could help us build something, and we just could not accomplish it. Well, later that year in early 2008, we were at a buying show in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we had heard there's a guy out there. There's a guy that's built a platform. His name's Kent. We called that guy from that show, and we flew him in. When Kent landed, we informed him that we had an hour time slot for him to present to the group. We were in a room really similar to this. There was 35 team dealers in there, maybe a couple hundred people in that room. And we let him know that his time slot would be towards the end of the day between a shut presentation and happy hour. Now, I know you're all thinking like, who wants to present before happy hour, especially with that group? But the happy hour was not the issue. The issue was shut. You see, Zenith had come into the marketplace earlier that year with a new football helmet. And most of the dealers in that room had decided to sell them and see what it was like to sell that product, and Shut was not happy. So they sent the late Gary Nyland up on stage to take a beating for an hour and explain to all the dealers in that room that if you continue to sell Zenith football helmets, you would no longer be a Shut dealer. Now imagine for that hour, the screaming that took place now. Well, Kent was sitting outside those doors rehearsing what he was going to tell the group of dealers when that meeting was over. So after Gary finished and took his constructive criticism back to Shut, he walked off stage, he walked out of the room, and he looked at Kent and said, "Hey, good luck." What Kent didn't see was inside that room, everybody stood up to leave. They'd forgotten about that next presentation. And then someone came up and asked everybody, can you please sit down? We've got one more presentation. And I think the actual term that was used was, we're going to talk about the internet. And I honestly, someone said, what's the internet? So Ken came in, and for an hour he stood up there and talked about his platform. He used terms like .com, credit card processing. He tried to explain the platform to a group of individuals who were used to doing things how they had always been done. And after that, there's no one that could have stood up there and done what he did to explain how the platform that he had envisioned, that he had built for Ronnie, could revolutionize the way we did things. So when that meeting came to an end, we did indeed create a partnership with Kent, where 12 of the dealers from that room immediately signed up. I was fortunate to be one of those. I was fortunate because it helped me change the way I do business, but more importantly, I gained a friend. So here we are, 15 years later, over $4 billion flowing through the platform over that time. Millions and millions of products being sold. 200 plus new, young, talented people brought into the industry that have worked at Order My Gear for years. Dealers and dealer reps, brands and brand reps, and buying groups that have all grown because of this platform. The bottom line is our industry is a better place today because of what Kent envisioned. So I'm really proud to induct Kent tonight in the NSGA Hall of Fame.